It's our weekly sports episode. Well, you might as well call it our infamous podcast about sports and stuff. Where on this podcast you get to hear a little bit of information about what's going on in the sports world, what's going on in the video game world, a little bit of the technology information, get a little bit of a music knowledge chat, two of our personal faves that we do on the show, the artist spotlight, and of course the infamous ass of the week. So stick around. You might actually enjoy the episode. Oh my gosh, the pass is back. I swear I feel like it was a little bit of a delay. I'm not working by myself. Thank goodness I got my co-host back.
Back at it again.
Back at it again. He left me. No, I'm just kidding. He had stuff he was working on, building his personal brand. Got a lot of good things in store for him, so I've been wishing him the best of luck with that. And he's been, I told him off air multiple times, like, it's always appreciated, helping out, taking time. So I'm not sure if he heard the last two episodes of me struggling to hold the episode, but I made what I had to work.
You've been holding it down.
Trying to hold it down. So we have quite a bit of topics, quite a few topics to talk about this week. And I'll be the first to admit, I wasn't sure where or how stories would blend in for this week. But I do know it was like it kind of was a coincidence because the big story that I've been waiting to have happen has kind of been like, I'm not sure if it would blend over another week, if it would ever finish, or how it would all turn out. So if you go back a few episodes, both Dimitri and I did make our choices for the NBA Finals. I believe you said 6 for Golden State.
I did play it safe and say 6.
You said 6, and I went wild and reckless and said 7, and we both pushed. So
the funny part about it is, actually, I was talking with a couple of people who sit next to me at work.
Right.
I think it was the Thursday or Friday before that episode, and I told them I bet them in 5.
Yeah.
But then I came here, I was like, hold up, let me
reevaluate.
I thought Kyrie was going to show up, so I was like, let me go ahead and go 6.
Yep. And the main thing, I talked about this in most of the episodes, and this was kind of like, I guess it was a target number from looking at each of the games. Cleveland needed to score, and I've said this last week, and I'll stand behind it today. Cleveland's target number was 120 as far as points. And as we saw with each game 1, Golden State hit 113. Game 2, obviously they surpassed that. Game 3, it was close, but Golden State got close to that amount, and Cleveland still lost. Game 4, Cleveland had that awakening rise at a moment where they decided to show up.
The historic game with 24 3-pointers made. Yeah,
right.
They came out to play.
Yeah, so you had that game, and then it built up to Game 5, and Game 5 was kind of like the make or break because everyone was wondering, was Golden State going to fall off?
Especially because of last year and everything. Yeah. So it was kind of like a must win.
Yeah.
Because if you take it back to 6, I was saying this too, like if it goes to 6, I think it's going to 7.
Right.
Because the pressure would definitely have been on Golden State. Yeah. Mm-hmm. However,
I mean, as the script played out and as the story showed, Durant proved why he was a very valuable asset to the Golden State franchise. He scored 39 in that game, and oddly enough was named MVP of the Finals. I got a lot of things I want to say about this series. I don't know where to begin. I don't want to use the infamous question because I really feel like sports does this too much, where they say, did the Warriors win or did the Cavs lose? So I'm gonna segue away from that a little bit, and I guess ask it and look at it as which team, like based on the series and based on how it played out. If Durant was not there, since we're gonna factor in Durant as being the MVP, if Durant was not with Golden State, would our picks have been confirmed as possibly being 6 or 7?
People say like they won it because of Durant. Yes, Durant played a big part in it.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you take Durant out of the picture, you also have to add in the people who they let go
right
during last summer because they had to pay Durant.
Yeah,
they had to let go Maurice Spades, Leandro Barbosa,
yep,
Harrison Barnes, and there was
Bogut. Andrew
Bogut
Bogut.
as well too.
Okay.
So there's other role players that were in it as well too.
Okay.
They definitely wouldn't have been like a front runner like they were this year.
Yeah.
Because then say if KD would have stayed with OKC, they definitely pushed him last year.
Right.
But no, it wouldn't. I think it would have been a lot closer.
Okay.
However, Durant pushed them over the top.
Oh, yeah. I feel like Durant was a key. I mean, Durant is, and I talked about this last week, and I may have said it before the week before, but I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and this is where we talk sports and we just shoot and breathe about this. I got to get that logic in my head of understanding the quote unquote best player in the world title, because this isn't, obviously this is off script. This is just general breakdown for me, because
I feel like there was a conversation during the finals.
Yeah, they always, because it's always the constant of LeBron James is the best player in the world. They say this time and time again, and we got to the finals, and that conversation kind of silently hid away, and Durant's one of the best players in the world. And it's like, but we've always known Durant as being a good player. Did we just not know it when he was at OKC, or what? Like, cause
you get more credit when you're winning. Like everybody gets more credit when they're winning.
Yeah.
Just like role players, like once they've won a championship,
Matt Barnes.
teams want to sign them like during free agency and things of that nature, and they
like
get more
Barnes.
money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, like Harrison Barnes. Yeah, and
I said Matt Barnes being petty for personal reasons, because it was a lot of first timers on this year's championship team that did not expect, like David West.
David West, though, he sacrificed a lot, because if you think back like 2 years ago when he was on the Pacers, and then he went to San Antonio and dropped like $12 million or something like that,
right,
to try to win a championship. So, but with KD and LeBron, though, going back to the
we got to hit
of who the that's definitely always a situation like who's the best player in the world, because it takes, if you look back 2008, remember when like Kobe was thought of kind of as the best player in the world, so was LeBron.
Yes.
But then Paul Pierce won the championship, so people were saying that he was the best player in the world.
Yeah.
At that time, I feel like KD was the best player in that. I don't know, because LeBron averaged a triple double.
Yeah, I mean you can't take away from LeBron's effort.
KD's on the best scorer.
Yeah, I mean anytime and I think one thing that went unnoticed, because they did address this in game 1 of the series, is that Durant showed a bit of his defensive prowess as far as, because they make it, and I mean this is something that we fail to realize, and I swear they talk about this story so much that I laugh about it, but it's a reality thing that you got to look at. Every time you look at any article, any bio, any information about Durant, his height is listed as 6'8". He's not 6'8".
Even his teammates call him like 7 feet tall.
Right,
he's 7 feet
tall. He's
like,
accepted. He's a 7-footer, and it's like you have to understand, as a 7-footer playing shooting guard in the prime of your career, like even with the injuries he had while in Golden State, he still has produced a solid season this year.
No, yeah, definitely. There were some talks of him being like MVP, even though he was on the best team.
Right.
He wouldn't have got it, but he probably could have been in like the top 5 of it, top 5 voting of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. His defense has stepped up the last couple of years. He showed it last year in the playoffs when he played against Golden State. Actually. Even though
they had that note, because it was a story I found on YouTube. I'm gonna try to see if I can remember to find the link, where they were talking about how there's a lot of anger in his disloyalty to leave OKC and go to Golden State, and then of course the infamous LeBron did the same thing, and the biggest confirmation that a lot of people made is it was 2 different circumstances, which I kind of actually understand, and here's why.
Okay.
LeBron was in Cleveland, and when he broke this story down, I really had to step back and look at it. When LeBron was in Cleveland had nobody. His first run before he went to the Heat, he had nobody. So he was like, I'm in Cleveland, I don't have anything, I've been getting players around me. The second best player I had at the time was Mo Williams. So he says, okay, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach, who at the time Wade was there only, but then of course with him coming, Chalmers came, Bosh came.
Well, they had a playoff team there.
Right, they did.
Had a playoff team.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Now then you go to and before I continue, because I want to say this, I will be the first to admit that I used to call the Miami team the cheat code. I always called them the cheat code the 4 years that you had LeBron. You had LeBron, Wade, and Bosh there, because you had 3 All-Stars who were guaranteed to either start. Because, I mean, LeBron has not has not started. I mean, LeBron has started every year in the All-Star game, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know about his rookie year.
Okay, yeah, not counting rookie year. But for the most part, he's played in every All-Star game.
So I get where you're coming from with that, like how you said about the Cavaliers before he had left and went to join Miami.
Right.
However, do you agree that was a super team?
Yeah, okay. I feel like when they built that was built. You built a super team. You had that set as, I won't use the term big. Right? Yeah, he went there to win, and then, but I wouldn't put them as that quote unquote big three because you had other players that helped them also get over the hump. Because you had Ray Allen still. Ray Allen, because I think Ray Allen came in and got a couple
for the second ring,
right?
For the second ring, and
James Jones. Who else was? You had quite. It was
Udonis Haslem was there. Marcus Chalmers was there. Shane Battier, Mike Miller.
Yeah.
They had a team around them.
So I mean, you had other guys. It wasn't just that factor. So I feel like that's what kind of goes unnoticed.
However, with Kevin Durant and his situation though, so I feel like OKC deserves a lot of the blame as well too, like their management.
Yes.
Because they had a team, like if you went back to 2011 when they made it to the finals and lost to the Heat in 5.
When they had Harden.
They had Ibaka, they had KD, and they had Russell Westbrook. All of them were under 23 years of age.
Yeah.
And yet you didn't want to pay Harden an extra $4 million, not a year, but $4 million total in the contract.
Right.
So then they let him go. They traded him to Houston.
Yeah, and we see how that all turned out.
So then they got rid of players as well too. They also had Reggie Jackson at that time too.
Yeah.
They had a
nice
Dion
team,
Waiters. But they got rid of people.
Yeah.
And they didn't surround Kevin Durant with people who would actually help the team because he didn't have shooters around him.
Right.
So.
So now and then another part of it that really was interesting was that 3-1 series with Golden State and OKC. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was Billy Donovan's first year as coach.
First year.
Yeah. So, because Scott Brooks, which I didn't understand, it was like the year before, it was like Scott Brooks isn't really doing it for us. Let's let Scott Brooks go.
Yeah.
Scott Brooks goes to Washington. He's keeping Washington in a stable Eastern Conference status quo as far as in the top 4 in the East. And then you have Billy Donovan, who's put in a position of, all right, I'm expecting you to build a team, and it's like he knows the college culture, but he's in the NBA flow. So you got Wade, like you said, now you coming up to Harden's gone. Ibaka was there, but then they ended up letting him go, which it's crazy because even since he left that team, he's still trying to solidify a home in the NBA. Because currently he's in Toronto. I don't see him being in Toronto long, which I think is bad.
I think he's a free agent this year or next summer.
Exactly. So it's like you have that factor. So now you're looking at it as you got Westbrook, Durant, Dion Waiters, like you said, Reggie Jackson, Enes Kanter, Mustache, Adams, all of these guys that are role players are key elements to winning a championship. They go to the playoffs, have a solid run into Golden State, turns into a conflict. The story that was addressed that I found to be interesting of that, and I'll cap it with this, and like I said, I want your feedback with it as well. Golden State beat Oklahoma, and they all do it at the end of the game where they all speak and say, "All right, congratulations, whatever." Draymond Green was already in Durant's ear at that time about, "Hey, what's up? Like you trying to win, or what's good?" So eventually, it triggered into Durant was saying it as, "I'll see y'all again soon," and literally a month later, he signed. It was like the biggest. I think it's almost like his decision was bigger than LeBron's, but LeBron's made more media attention because of how LeBron did it. I know. LeBron set it up with what was it? Powerade and the Salvation Army. Yeah, the decision. Wearing a shirt that was coincidentally the team that he went to. Like, I found it funny because now even and it worked out for Miami. It worked out for Miami and Cleveland when LeBron came back, and a lot of people don't know this. Because of him doing what he did as far as like that decision and then going to Cleveland to win a championship again, it helped with jersey sales for those teams because those teams then made special jerseys. Like before LeBron was there, they didn't have the all black Heat jersey, black and white or whatever. They didn't make custom names and all that type of stuff. And I mean, even with Golden State, they did their creativity, but I think it was everyone feels as though Durant Durant deserved to win, but I feel like no one wanted to give him credit because of how it all panned out.
Definitely shorted him on that. Yeah. I also had a question about how you felt about how the championship parade was on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a couple things, a little beef kind of going back and forth with Draymond and LeBron.
Yeah, let's talk about this because I actually been keeping up with this. So go ahead. I want to hear you got.
All right. So what started it was Draymond came out with his shirt.
The Quickie shirt.
Quickie shirt with the Q as for Quicken Loans.
Uh-huh.
And Quickie, so they got him
out
of there Quickie.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Right.
Then that was posted on Instagram, and LeBron liked it.
Yeah.
And put a post like, that's what she said, huh?
Yeah.
And then LeBron had his post where he kind of shaved his head.
Yeah.
And then Draymond Green had his post saying, the Dubs beat him so bad he finally shaved his head. Congrats, bro.
The shade between them two, I never realized was so intense. And then I didn't realize it until I looked it up online. It triggered, and this has been going on not just from this year. This is from last year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because last year was, last year was the Ultimate Warrior shirt, and then wearing the shirt that had the number 23 from his jersey being better than Draymond Green number 20. Like it was the Cavs number 23, and then the Warriors 23, and it was like greater than or whatever. And I was like, okay. But they also,
and
I think
Halloween too.
And Halloween, yeah.
With the cookies 3-1,
right?
Someone stepping over like a body or something like that.
Yeah, I think what I like about it though too, and what's interesting and nobody thinks about is they're actually good friends off the court.
No, yeah, they definitely are.
And a lot of people wouldn't think of it like that because even like when it's in game and it's game time, it's competitive. Yeah, let's go, we're gonna battle. But off court, it's all in, and I mean it's all in fun, but it gets the attention, and I mean it draws. So it'll draw this question. And then we'll segue because, like I said, I feel like last week I almost feel like I gave like 20 or 30 minutes to just the NBA Finals alone. I don't remember. But based on the teams as of right now, because we don't know what will happen with free agency, we don't know what Durant's going to do. We always got the question about the Kevin Love trade for Paul George, which I don't know how that's going to happen, but we'll see. Carmelo coming to Cleveland.
We're talking about waiving him, actually.
Right. So, I mean, all of those... Putting those factors of unknowns aside, is there a likelihood that we'll see this rematch again next year?
Okay, so if every team in the league stayed as they are constructed right now, yeah, definitely. These two teams are meeting again next year.
Okay.
However, I don't think the Cavs should feel safe staying the way that they are right now.
Yeah.
Because if they do and then they lose again next year, because as the way they're currently constructed, I think they would lose again next year.
Right.
LeBron, I think, would leave next year for sure, unless they get somebody else who can help them make a chance to actually win it.
Okay. I don't have it, and to respond to my own, I feel like there's a good chance they would meet again.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to come down to it solely comes down to
the Celtics are
making
moves.
The Celtics so making moves we could talk about, and I don't have this as a tab. This is kind of improv because these are stories that I've kind of pulled and been addressing and looking at on the side. There was initially talk, and I always tell y'all before I put stories, I like to make sure that the stories I have are confirmed before sharing. First and foremost, and I didn't realize this until they brought it up, Boston still has a strong pick of getting high lottery picks for the next 2 or 3 years. I believe they get the first pick next year. Yep, and I think the year after, I'm not sure.
I don't think they have.
I gotta look at it.
They might have the year after.
Brooklyn pretty much did not think this went through very well.
No, they did not. And then I guess they were thinking that they were going to be good for years to come.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't do the math.
Right.
But yeah, and then they're also thinking about trading this year's pick and possibly going back and getting next year's Lakers pick from the Sixers.
Yeah.
So they're looking at making some moves.
Oh yeah. Now, and the interesting part, I know y'all probably gonna be devastated. I'm not. Well, I wouldn't blame y'all. Next, I think it'll probably be, because I know this is early to forecast. It'll probably be about another 2 weeks of basketball I got left to talk about for the rest of the podcast. Because we have the NBA draft next week, and then the following week will be the NBA awards.
So free agency will probably be following actually. So probably 3 weeks.
Yeah, so that'll roll into that whole scenario. So yeah, like you said, three or 4 weeks, because once everybody starts talking about who's going where and what big names are out there. So that's something to address. The rumor, and this is a rumor. Jimmy Butler is kind of being trade bait based on draft picks. And that kind of blended into, because it was crazy, because someone came to my desk and talked to me and asking, saying, "Oh, we were talking about it." I said, "Yeah, so Markelle Fultz isn't the number one pick anymore." This lasted for like a couple of minutes. And they were saying that Josh Jackson will be the number one pick.
They like Josh Jackson.
But they were basing it on, I guess, how these trades come, if the trades happen, because Philadelphia looks like they want to move up. And if moving up can work for them, and it can benefit in getting Ben Simmons some help, because we don't know if Joel Embiid is going to play the full year, even though I'm saying this on record, and I'm probably going to be reckless for saying this, Joel Embiid might get Rookie of the Year.
Well, from last year.
For this season, like that just passed, I feel like he's gonna get it.
I don't know. He only played like 35 games or something. He balled though while he was out there. He balled.
I feel like, because I mean, it's really not in it. I think it's Chris Middleton from Milwaukee. I can't think of the third player's name, but those are the three names. Because
Malcolm Brogdon, is he up there?
Yes, Brogdon. I think that's who it is. I got my names mixed up. Sorry. That's what Dimitri's for. But yeah, like it's three. They have it broken down in threes. Of course, the Finals MVP was Westbrook, Harden, and Kawhi Leonard.
These weren't the finalists for MVP.
Yeah, they had a couple of those out there. I'll remember if I have that noted to get that link as well and share that in the show notes. And Dimitri, of course, research guru, gonna look that up. So we'll kind of be spinning and blending in between. I got a brief story, and this is like...
it was Dario Saric, Joel Embiid, and Malcolm Brogdon, actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I remember, because Saric is with...
the Sixers, actually,
with the Sixers, yeah. Because he was kind of like the guy who stepped up, because it was like, well, we know Ben Simmons is going to be in, so just kind of put our faith in him. If y'all have not seen Game of Zones... Go back and catch the episode of Trust the Process, and you'll understand even better about the problems that's going on in Philadelphia and where all their madness began, especially with free agency. But we'll segue a little bit. Like I said, 21 minutes is not bad for the finals, but I kind of figured I was going to have a lot to talk about with that, especially with you being back on the show, because I knew it was quite a bit of a discussion to talk about or go into. So I don't really know if I can really give a lot behind the story, other than Jerry West has been kind of like a consultant, like an advisor with Golden State for 6 years. He helped them with getting a lot of their branding built, their foundation set up. He'll be leaving there, and he'll be taking a similar job with the Clippers.
He also had this job previously with the Lakers from '82 to the present. He was actually there with them when they won 10 championships. So he helped create those teams, and he helped them a lot.
So in other words, he helped get Kobe, Shaq, Robert Horry. Let me make sure I get all the big names. Yeah. No, I say big names as I say Robert Horry, Rick Fox.
Probably Pau Gasol too.
Gasol, yeah, because the Gasol trade to this day, I don't care about any other trade, and you as a Laker fan can admit this. That was one of the basic yet most intriguing trades, because it was pretty much like they gave Pau Gasol away for nothing at the time, because you didn't know what you were getting with Marc Gasol at that time. Because with Marc Gasol, it was kind of like, okay, we got Marc Gasol. What do we do?
But now when you look back at it, it's kind of a fair trade.
Oh yeah, it equaled out now, because I mean you've gotten much more out of Gasol, out of Marc Gasol since then.
Yeah, definitely. You got a lot out of him.
But yeah, he's going to be taking a job with the Clippers. I have the article for it. There's really not much said in the article. I will say this. Go ahead.
It's still to be seen, especially with the Clippers, because they with their history of coming up short.
Yeah.
So we have to see if he'll still have that same success here. Because I think it's definitely different than the last two places.
Yes. That's side story. I do remember, and I've been, don't ask me why, I've been reading a lot of sports stories, but a lot of them I didn't break and throw in with this podcast, because I was like, okay, the finals is going to take up a lot of time. E3 is going to take up a lot of time. But the Clippers are working to ground break their own stadium. I don't know if you knew about that or not.
The Clippers in Inglewood, right?
Yes. So they're looking to do that. It's kind of I don't want to say a separation from the Lakers in a sense, but it's more or less just them kind of working on because they, like right now, whether anybody wants to acknowledge it or not, the Clippers are in a rebranding stage after Don Sterling
definitely leaving. And also a little more past history about the past. Also, the forum for the Lakers before they moved to Staples Center was actually in Inglewood too. So kind of like they're moving back there.
Kind of moving back home, because now my Lakers knowledge was always known as the Great. I always called it the Great West. I mean, obviously it was the Great Western Forum, so I always would know the Forum. But building the Staples Center is just a coincidence. And like I said, we'll talk about E3 later, but it was a little gaming event they had that was right in front of the Staples Center, so that was kind of fun and kind of cool. But to kind of go into a little to kind of now before we leave this story, because we talked about this off air, do you see with West coming in him trying to target for any big name free agents, aka LeBron James?
He's been pretty good in the past. He got Shaquille O'Neal to the Lakers. He got Kevin Durant. He helped with Kevin Durant coming to the Warriors.
Right.
I think he's going to talk to him. We'll see if he actually gets him to go there.
Okay. Because I know, I mean, the biggest hit is going to be money-wise. And then I think, too, I'm probably going to be reaching, and I might piss some Clippers fans off, and I don't care. I don't know if I can see Chris, if I had to take a pick between Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, or DeAndre Jordan being there, who would stay first? This is going to be a tough one.
Well, DeAndre Jordan's still signed for another 2-3 years.
Right. So we'll put him aside. I see Blake gone.
I can see that too.
I really see Blake being gone, because I think Chris Paul can finish out, because Chris Paul got a couple of years left, give or take, based on career injuries.
Playing-wise,
durability. Because I mean, his body is not. This ain't the young Chris Paul we saw back in New Orleans or Charlotte when they were just throwing random alley-oops to Tyson Chandler. In his heyday, DeAndre Jordan, he had that ability with him, and I think what's tough about it is Chris Paul is in that I want to win a championship stage, not I want to just throw alleys and having a statistical career is great, but he wants that next level, and that's obviously to win a championship. That's that's why a lot of players who've gone to the Spurs have been pushing as they have, like Marcus Aldridge.
I think people are going to start doing that also for the Warriors too.
Yeah,
veterans are going to go there just to win a championship.
Like I said, JaVale McGee is on the Warriors and has a championship. So
if I was him, I would stay there and not mess things up, because he's a free agent this year. So
right, and he also, and I think in his defense, it was interesting because he went through all that. If you go back a few episodes, I'm gonna probably still keep that episode up. Him and Shaq were my ass of the week. They were kind of codependents as far as battling with each other. And I mean, now Shaq can say whatever you want to him, but JaVale McGee is an NBA world champion, so props to him. So we'll go to I guess we can call them world champions in their own right. A very unique fight has been booked for Showtime, and I've been very indecisive if I wanted to share this story, but I happened to be out and I saw the story online, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's sports, and I know I need to be fair and fair in acknowledging it, because there are boxing fans who have been waiting to see something like this occur, which is going to be interesting to talk about. But Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, who most of you know is Mr. UFC, are going to be fighting on August 26th. I don't know where to begin with this story, and this is why I say I don't know where to begin. Number one, we're going to go ahead and do the intangibles. Floyd Mayweather retired nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Back in September of 2015. He's 40 years old. His goal is not to be knocked out. He has had a undefeated record of 49-0. He did his last fight was actually he had his last fight against Andre Berto. Before that, the big fight when him and Manny Pacquiao fought against each other, and that was a wash because it was already a struggle at that time. A lot of people don't remember this. There was already a struggle because they couldn't get it to be live or available to everyone at the time. So a lot of people were frustrated with their service providers, TV service providers, things of that sort. But moving forward and progressing to now, And this is a coincidence also because they're doing it in, let me make sure I'm right, I want to say Las Vegas.
Yes.
It is in Las Vegas. And the only reason I know because the arena stands out to me because it's another one of those arenas that have a potential to be used, known as the T-Mobile Arena for different gaming events. But he'll be fighting Conor McGregor, who is 28, in his respective sport, which is not boxing. He's 21-3. Oh, I'm sorry, his fighting career is 21-3. He's 9-1 in the UFC.
I think he's only done MMA though.
Right. So it's not the same as an actual boxing match where you put on gloves and there's no kicking involved.
They still have gloves, but the gloves are a lot smaller, and they help more for power.
Right.
The ones for boxing, there's a lot more, protection
padding
on them. So padding and stuff on them. So your swing's not going to be as powerful.
Right.
So it's definitely going to be a spectacle, and you could be skeptical.
No, that's like legit. You did keep coming. That was exactly it.
Yeah, definitely with it. A lot of boxing boxers and people on the boxing side, they're definitely scared. They definitely want Floyd to win. Yeah, because how much of a story would that be if Conor McGregor went in there and knocked him out?
If he knocked him out. And it's already, so they're already bringing up the obvious of it being money. Like, money-wise is why this is a big deal.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's the only reason why he's fighting.
Yeah, because, I mean, for the financial benefit, it's going to, I mean, Floyd Mayweather has his own brand himself. Like, not
he's definitely getting most of the money out.
Yeah, so, I mean, McGregor, his brand is based through UFC now. So, it's kind of like that breakdown, but then there's also, as far as for PR purposes and for benefits of the match, you would want Mayweather to win this match because if so, it's like, okay, this 40-year-old guy knocked out a 28-year-old McGregor and he retired a couple of years ago. Like, that's not something, and granted, the types of fights that they have or their fighting styles are apples and oranges because for Mayweather is not really a fighter per se, more than he is a finesser in the field in the ring. So he's more concerned of what can I do to avoid the next hit that you're bringing, and practice for trying to come back. Yeah. Whereas McGregor is just attack.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm looking at this story, and that's kind of why this was blended in as like a big thing. Like I said, I did mention, and I'm not sure if it's in the article. I'm going to say it is. But if it's not, it will be on Showtime. We talked about it, and I didn't. And let me go. I'm going to say this because Dimitri know me. I'm honest. I don't want him to think that I swayed his opinion because I know he knows how he stands about this. Because remember, we were like, okay, I feel as though you would agree with me in saying, and we were talking about who we think would win. I personally am seeing Mayweather dominating.
I definitely agree. I definitely see Mayweather doing it. However, people are saying like he would knock him out.
Yeah,
Mayweather. I don't know. He hasn't knocked out anybody in a long time.
He doesn't. I think for him, knocking out. Though. Yeah, I don't think knocking out is his goal. Like if you either.
He's making look silly in there though.
Yeah,
he's definitely.
He will embarrass him now. I see that happening. But I feel as though the biggest thing that's going to happen is it's going to This is going to be similar to the finals, and I'm going to swing back to the finals and say one thing, and this will kind of tie into this a little bit. Mm-hmm. The series between Golden State and Cleveland went 5 games. If it had went 4 games and Golden State swept, Adam Silver even stated it, they would have lost money. So for them to get that 5th game, that little bit of extra money was something to get out of the equation.
Yeah, definitely.
Same applies with this boxing match, where if you have them fight, and let's say it goes
3 rounds.
3 rounds.
Out, yeah.
Then it's like you got fans that's gonna be devastated. It was just like when him and Pacquiao fought. That went the whole match, and it really didn't need to, because I think Mayweather could have knocked him out earlier.
Yeah, he's a safer fighter.
Right.
I think he's gonna be the same way with Conor McGregor, because if he opens up and one hit from him possibly could end the match, maybe a career. But Mayweather doesn't let people touch him like that.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, that's because I feel like as soon as that was announced, he's already practicing every swim move, way of avoiding, ducking, and dodging to not get any type of hits from McGregor. And hopefully McGregor is boxing trained properly with gloves and knowing like how this, because it's a different style.
Yeah, if he comes out wild, Mayweather could catch him, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see. Right. I feel like people are more paying for the show rather than the fight.
Of course, I think
know what to expect with the fight.
I 100% agree with you. That's truly what I feel like is coming as the end result with the two of them going at it. So this is and I always like to do. So I'm gonna segue into the stuff. This majority of the stuff will be technology. There was a very huge event this week, and I'll address that. I have a little bit of sports, but it's a very brief sports story because one of our good old friends will be returning back on the podcast again. We always like to give him a little bit of attention here and there, so we'll get to that later on in the show. But in the meantime, this is the stuff, and the big stuff this week. Now, before I do the articles that I have or that I did share with you, I do want to let everyone know. You may hear you all probably will hear this episode by 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Standard Time. So it may be some matches still on. But CEO Gaming is going on this weekend in Orlando. It's one of the biggest fighting events. Well, not fighting events, but fighting game community tournaments for Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Injustice. Those games are all the top players from around the world are going to be playing in that tournament. Some of the pool play started yesterday. More pool play matches are starting today, and they'll probably get down to like top 32 later on tonight. So if I have the episode up and you all hear that, definitely go check them out on Twitch. They got about 50. I'm exaggerating. It's going to be at least five to 8 streams or streamers who are going to be recording that episode. So you definitely want to check that out. But this week was, and I'm going to be I say transparent frequently on podcasts because I always don't want to seem biased, because even as an Xbox fan, I feel like Microsoft did okay this week, but not their greatest. But it was the Electronic Entertainment Expo, or as most regulars, everydays know it as, is E3. E3 continued their trend of allowing the common folk to attend, because normally when they have it, it's only for like developers and programmers or people who are kind of like hands-on with the gaming community. Now they're saying, hey, if you're a streamer, or hey, like, E3 doesn't want to lose out on money. And they know one of the easiest ways to make money is to get attention and get yourself out there. So what they've done is they have a lot of streamers who either are at the event watching it and participating, or people who have been on Twitch live streaming that live streamed E3. And E3 basically talks about, hey, here's Electronic Arts. So to go into the correct order of the addressing of it, EA, not EA Sports, EA, like everything Electronic Arts, was on Sunday, majority of Sunday night, and also Xbox. Microsoft did theirs. Bethesda did their portion that late Sunday and part of Monday. Ubisoft was on. Sony did their breakdown of what they have coming. Nintendo introduced a few of their new technologies, and I am going to be fair, and I'm not going to be unbiased. I know a lot of people think that I'm not that person. PC gaming was addressed as well. So they brought out all of the different techs and tips and tricks that were coming from each system.
What are you most intrigued by?
Believe it or not, even though I'm not buying it this year, the Xbox One X.
The Xbox One X?
Yes.
How do you feel about only one USB port in the front?
I feel like that won't be too big of a deal, because you can always, I feel like it's their way of stating that they're kind of going with the console, with the computer route anyway.
I would agree with you. I'm interested in that as well too.
Because believe it, like on this system, and like I know you don't have an Xbox One.
I'm thinking about getting that though.
Yeah, so on the Xbox One, the actual Xbox One itself, there's only one port anyway. It's on the side, and most people use it. That's basically going to be just to charge up your controllers and stuff like that. Most folks anyway, they buy like I have an adapter, like it's a plug that sits, and it's like a docking station, and I can plug my controllers in there, and it's plugged into the Xbox itself. But the one thing that they did say that I feel like is intriguing is the fact that all of your older, like if you have older accessories, from having an Xbox One, they can be used on this system. So I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
Now my negatives, and it's not bad negatives, it's just reality. Not everybody has, it still comes down to that 4K TV factor. Not everybody has 4K TV. I don't have it. I don't see a purpose for it yet. The side or the surprising shock for me that I really want to talk about with just that system alone is the price factor. I don't know if you saw how much it costs.
$499.99.
Yeah, that kind of was a runaway for me a little bit, only because.
Would you take that, or would you take the Zo 2s?
Believe it or not, I buy the system. I'm just you want my honest answer. I can't wear a video game system like the shoes out. If you buy a pair of shoes for $500, you have to. You can't wear them anywhere. And keep in mind, remember, those are just a basic pair. Those are the ones that you actually can wear. Remember, he has this signed pair that are in the box and the glass and all that. It's like $1,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe it. Or it's somewhere around the $800.
Right, it's up there. So they had that being addressed. Now, I'm not sure you were not here when I talked about Apple's convention, right? Nah,
I think so.
You were when I talked about the $350 speaker.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, yeah, because they had that all go down and things.
Oh wait, no, I think I was here for the speakers. They cost a lot more than that.
Okay, you're thinking about the headphones. All right, the $2,000 headphones. Yeah,
those ones.
Yeah, so Apple did their, because remember, a couple weeks ago, Apple did their conference. It was WWDC, and that was like the big pinnacle of. It's supposed to be Apple's. It's Apple's version of the Echo. That's the best way I can describe it, but it's twice the cost because it's Apple, and I don't feel like that's a justifiable reason, but that's the only reason I can give. But some of the things that are hitting the waves that I've listened, that I've read, or have seen be addressed with E3 that I think are going to be huge factors. Now, PlayStation owner, I'm a little jealous because they have Crash Bandicoot. They're bringing out Crash Bandicoot pretty much in the trifecta form, meaning all of the original Crash Bandicoots are going to be available in one game and can be playable. So I'm from that. Like I said, I don't forget where I came from. I was PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. And I truly think that's going to be that'll bring in a decent little bit of money for them. They made a fuss about, now I'm going to do, because I have all of the links. Now I'm going to give a sidebar for a second. I have links shared from what went down at E3 as far as, like, if you want a breakdown of everything. I give you a breakdown or an overview of getting a viewing of the Xbox One X. I'm going to be talking mostly from The Verge, but I'm not going to go, like, I have which stories were kind of like the heavy hitters, because there were, I think I mentioned this to Dimitri before we started. There were 104 updates about E3 that were addressed, and that was as of February 8th. Now, obviously, some things may be older, but for the most part, it's quite a lot. So I'm not going to sit here and hit each link and talk about them, because if I do, we'll be here till 6 o'clock, and then they got to put us out, and I'm not trying to get put out of here for no reason. But I will say this: the couple of games that I have heard about or seen looks like they're going to be promising. Console games are always up in the air. With EA or Electronic Arts, I'll say EA Sports, of course, they're resurrecting NBA Live.
How long has that been out for?
This live is not gonna. So NBA Live, this is gonna be NBA Live 18 that's coming up.
No, I'm saying, how long have the lives been, like, weren't they discontinued?
They took a break for about, I think it was 2 years. It was a year or two, yeah, because it was one that came out. It didn't really do too well, and so they were like, okay, we got to go back to the drawing board, because that was at the point when NBA 2K started to slowly get that credibility of #1 basketball game. Yeah. And it's tough because both games have always been on different styles. 2K has always been thorough animations, details, jump shots. They break down everything to a T. Whereas with NBA Live, it's like, look, we ain't worrying about all that. We'll give you an arcade-based version of a game that, if you like it, great. If you don't, we'll try to work on it as best as we can. That's kind of how I've always seen NBA Live doing it the last few years. And it's not their fault. I want to say it's not their fault, but it's more or less it's it's almost as though they bowed down it to 2K a little bit, and knowing like 2K kind of did their job. But then it's tough because as streamers who play 2K, like I personally don't play 2K on stream, but people who I've watched play NBA 2K on stream, they complain about every single detail about the game because they expect Kevin Durant to make every shot, or Steph Curry to hit every shot, or LeBron James to be able to, every time he goes to the hole, he should never miss. When it's like, it's just like simulation. I mean, real basketball. Yeah. They're not, it's very few times you have somebody shoot 100% in real life. But
yeah, nobody shoots over 100%.
Right.
Nobody's ever shot over like 50% from three.
So. Exactly, yeah. So there's some of those things that just aren't thought about or broken down that are kind of like tough to look at. There was a lot of cred for Nintendo's presentation because Nintendo right now mainly has to work with they're kind of trying to work with getting their system more known because now the system's been out a couple of months, the Nintendo Switch, and now it's a matter of we're getting people away from Nintendo Wii, but we still have our Nintendo Switch that we're kind of putting our time and focus into. One of their I think it was Pokken Tournament, that's going to get a new version that's coming out on Nintendo Switch. They already have Mario Kart Deluxe already out. I'm trying to figure out what else did they talked about. Samus with Metroid. Anyone who knows Metroid, Samus is going to be coming back in with a big feel. Let's see, Super Mario Odyssey is going to be a big hit. Mario versus Rabbids. It's these wild rabbits that they got on that they always talk about. A lot of like, I'll say this before I go further, being fair. A lot of people don't realize that there's friends who I know, if you talk to Nintendo, they can give you a whole spiel and break down Nintendo games. And I'm like, okay, I'm still learning, so just bear with me a little bit. And Nintendo is also trying to make sure they work on things that they got right. Nintendo Switch is trying to work on things that Wii U got wrong because Wii U wasn't the best. Wii U was a good system, but the Wii U, they didn't give it as much of a chance from what I can gather. There's still talk, but this wasn't talked about at E3 about the Super NES bringing. I don't know if you remember when Nintendo brought out their retro system. They're trying to bring out another system similar to that for Super Nintendo, but it's a matter of if we actually see that. Legend of Zelda is going to be bringing in their first DLC next month. Actually, this in a couple of weeks. Yoshi's making his appearance. Like I said, Pokemon's coming out. Xenoblade Chronicles. Kirby's going to get his attention. Or Kirby won't make his appearance on scene until next year. Okay, this is the topic that I'm going to get into, and I'm going to be a true fan of gaming for a second. Rocket League is doing what's called cross-network play. So Rocket League is basically taking a soccer field, putting it in a dome, and it's like playing soccer in that environment. But instead of you being a person running with the ball or kicking the ball, you're in a car. Okay. I bought Rocket League over a year ago. Play it very sparingly because there's a lot of mechanics to it. Like watching people play it is so fun, but me trying to play it is a struggle. But Rocket League, I'm giving this a lot of attention for a reason. Rocket League is taking on the risk of doing cross-platform. So cross-platform basically means if you have an Xbox, if you have a computer, or if you have a Nintendo Switch, they can all play with each other. Now, left out PlayStation for a reason. PlayStation is not on board with cross-platform yet. They have been delayed with doing cross-platform for a while. And I understand because cross-platform, they do it for their own. Like cross-platform, they will do, with prime example, Street Fighter. Street Fighter 5 came out last year. Since it's been out, if you have it on PlayStation 4 or if you have it on PC, typically you can play against each other. Okay. It doesn't get as much attention, but it's more known in that regard. Minecraft, most people play Minecraft. Same applies with their games being blended in together. I know I'm like throwing a whole bunch of stuff. Of course, Destiny's Child. Destiny 2 is coming out on September the 6th. Weird part is the PC version of it will not be out until October 24th. It looks like they're trying to. Destiny 2 wants to get right with Destiny, what the original Destiny struggled with, because Destiny 1 didn't have a strong replay value. They showed gameplay of Call of Duty World War II and this is for just overall. It wasn't really like based on a system. They just have it out there because everyone's wanting to know. Call of Duty World War II is all about, what do I want to call it? Foot to ground. Previous versions of Call of Duty, you can go back, I'd say maybe Black Ops 2, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3 have all been exosuits flying everywhere, stuff like that. So they're like, okay, let's bring it back to the original style of fighting where it's combat. So they're looking to see how that will turn out. It's a lot of stuff. VR, they're trying to give it a little bit more attention on PlayStation. And I don't want to ramble through too many of these because there's so many articles that have gone on. But yeah, those like I state, as I've stated, I don't want to push too many ideas, and it's not that I don't have them organized and broken down. It was literally E3 was a plethora of information. It's things to look forward to, but the tough part about E3, and I'll say this because I've even seen Twitch streamers address this. E3 will address something and say that it's coming, and it may not come out, and you won't know it because you wouldn't, unless you're somebody that's like that. You remember, y'all said y'all was bringing out this game last year, and it never. Unless you remember that, you wouldn't give it. No, most people don't give it a thought.
So it must not be about big topics then, right? If you don't remember, it's not really about one of those big games that's
right. It's usually like E3's goal is if it's something big that they're trying to do. Like let's say PlayStation decided to bring out a new console. Mm-hmm. If they had not brought it out by E3 is their chance to present it. I think last year Xbox talked about the Xbox One X, but they codenamed it like Xbox Scorpio or something like that. Yeah. But it never came out because it was still kind of like, we want to make sure we have it perfected, we have it ready to go. What's interesting to me, even as an Xbox One owner, is, let's see, Xbox One came out officially in 2013, I believe. I might be wrong. Here it is, 2017, and we're already at a newer console. So sometimes having new consoles come out can be good, but also, as I always tell people, whenever a console comes out, the first couple of months, hell, even the first year, give it let it get all of its kinks, let it get all of its flaws out the way, so then that way it makes it beneficial to own the system. 2013, okay, cool. And then the other thing, and I'm gonna say this about the console breakdown, and this will put it in some more perspective. Xbox One X, and I can even say Nintendo Switch right now, are at a disadvantage because as a owner of that system, if you let's say you got an Xbox One X when it first come out. Most systems when they first come out don't bring out too many like release, like open and release games. Unless the system brings out more than 20 open and release games, it's no benefit to have that system because you got to wait for them to build up their collection. Same with Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch, what kind of gives them a little bit of a pulse is their Nintendo store, but not everybody's going to sit down there and spend money. Like, let me go in here and buy Donkey Kong, original Mario, stuff like that. So that is that story's breakdown at E3. I know I took over that whole portion of E3, and it was kind of like all over the place, and I do apologize for that. They do have a video online, and I'll say this about The Verge, and I think I mentioned this to Dimitri. I like The Verge as a source because anytime it's certain things that you may or may not have seen, they'll give you like a quick story, like here's EA's presentation in 8 minutes, and it's like, well, why couldn't they do that in 8 minutes? Like, I gotta sit here and look at 2 hours of content just to get this 8-minute video. So one of the links that is shared for The Verge actually goes into the EA breakdown in 8 minutes. Okay. Because I remember when I did the Apple story, because I was sitting there like, I didn't watch WWDC. I couldn't see it. So I was like, let me just go and watch this in 19 minutes. Oh, that explained everything. Great. So This is a unique and stuff portion, segueing away from E3. I hope I gave everyone as much content as I could for E3. I researched E3 as best as I could. Trying to watch Twitter, or as I call it, the Twitter spheres, because I don't have many people who talk about it on Facebook, because I understand. Mm-hmm. Everybody got graduations, things of that sort, kids going to bigger schools, bigger things, better things, stuff like that. But segueing from E3, this is an old story, but it's a relevant story, and I'll explain it more in detail. Because I know when I always feel bad when I do this. I send Dimitri stories. He'd probably be like, Brian, the article was April 19th. Why are we talking about this in June? So if you go back and you listen to my podcast every day in April, same as plug, I did have a set of stories where I talked about different things. One of the things I talked about was the Evernote and Wunderlist apps. Evernote is my everything. If I have to take a note, if I have my watch on right now and I wanted to record something to be saved as a note, I'll put my watch, blah, 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 say it, save, no problem. Wunderlist, on the other hand, is that moment when people who still go to the grocery store with that list and pen and paper and say, all right, I got to get this stuff from the store and I need to make sure I got everything I need. Mom, put that pen and paper away. You got you got a smartphone. Let's use it. So Wunderlist was made to make to-do lists and make lists in general convenient for consumers. So what they did was you could put in your information. Like, all right, I'm going to food things I got to get from the store. You write down put everything on the list, and then as you walk into the store, once you buy it, if you check it off, it goes away, and it would just clear the list off. Well, I didn't know until I was reading about it that Microsoft is actually going to be taking over the option of Wunderlist, and they're renaming the app as To Do. Now, I want to make sure, because I may be wrong, I do not recall seeing a date for when this is occurring.
They did not. So, yeah, they acquired Wunderlist back in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, people were asking about when they're going to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. They didn't leave it up in the air or anything like that. They said, it's going to be going away eventually.
Okay.
Or soon. I think they said soon.
Okay. So, it's kind of a trend of, because it's a coincidence. Like, Evernote was not my first note-taking app. I can go back a few years, and this is that. Like I said, this is 2%. This is behind the scenes. This is like information. Some of y'all probably be like, okay, Brian, just tell me to wake up. But this, before I used Evernote, I used a program called SpringPad. Before I used SpringPad, I used Catch. Catch was the perfect note-taking program ever, because I was like, I can put a note in and I can read it on the computer, I can read it on my phone, I can read it on everywhere. So then Catch they folded. SpringPad took over. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try SpringPad. SpringPad looks nice. SpringPad folded. So Evernote was the one that was always out there, but never wanted to be known as to what they were doing. So now I've used Evernote probably for about 4 or 5 years. Like I said, if you want to go back and listen to that podcast about Evernote, it's to a T about how to use it. But okay. Evernote went through that same scenario. And saying, hey, this is the program, this is what we're using. It's down to I can basically have 2 solid versions of the app installed, and then anywhere else I can use it, and it's free. If you want to pay, I think you can do an option. I'm negotiating about doing it, but I'm very sketchy. It's very slow. It's like $4 a month. You can access that. You can install the app just about anywhere. You can email notes to yourself, which I think is great. Little stuff like that. But the to do option for Microsoft has a very similar look and feel to Exchange, not Exchange, but to Outlook in so many words. It looks very convenient. I'm not gonna say it's very generic, because Microsoft's plan has always been to try to be simple. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk behind that for personal reasons. Well, I ain't going to say personal reasons, because programs and software such as Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, at one time when you would show someone how to use those programs, if you just go to the menu, you go to this option, boom, there's your icon, and here's what you need to do. Nowadays, when people use those programs like Word, any Office programs, it's very complex to find simple things. So to have Microsoft bring it back a notch and have a simple to-do feature, and I mean, looking at the interface of the to-do program, when you check something off, it's marked off, and you can still see it. So if you need to like uncheck it, it's still there. Like maybe I need to use it again, something like that. It's kind of almost like it blends in, can be used similar to Evernote, but it's its own program that they have out, and it's not going to be. They're not limiting who can use this program, because initially they were stating it was only for Office 365 users. To be honest, I don't have Office 365, and I just haven't seen the purpose of needing it. But it is just going to be, like you said, they are looking to. I'll read the last paragraph, and I usually don't do paragraph readings word for word, but this one is an exception. Microsoft employee in the comment section stated that he offered enthusiasm towards user requests of trying to blend this program in with Amazon Alexa, which would be interested. And they noted that support for work accounts would arrive on To-Do on the web in the coming weeks, and gave the time frame towards the iPad app within the coming months. So I feel like it'll be a good program, and it's a good thing, but it's not like it's a hurt or harm right now. And I mean, from my perspective, like I have Wunderlist on 3 of my devices. Well, it'll be 3 soon. But I have it on my computer and I have it on my phone. So if you do it on one, like if you have it updated on one, it automatically goes to everything. And I mean, until they change it, it's just like anything else. It's like business use. Okay, it's gone. All right, well, I guess I got to adjust to something new. And that's just what happened.
That's what it looks like they're trying to make happen.
Yeah. So I've been very picky with how I've been wanting to do my artist of the week the last few weeks, because I know what happens is I'll talk about an artist and then I'm like, well, I left an artist off, and sometimes it just kind of goes in different directions. Mm-hmm. But she was because of the artist of the week today, a lot of artists wouldn't have a career. Yeah. Ciara being one of them. Anytime I think of Ciara, that's all I see is Aaliyah Dana Houghton. She is our artist of the week. She was born in New York, raised in Detroit. She was known, or got her career going on Star Search. She did perform with Gladys Knight, and who was the former wife of Uncle and manager Barry Hankerson. She did get her break with her first album, AJ Number to Number. The biggest hit with that situation was it was involving R. Kelly, and it had a lot of questions and concern because there was uncertainty about her marriage that no one knew about at that time. Because R. Kelly was 27 years old at that time, which I didn't realize.
She was 15.
She was 15. Yep. So that song and that album did have the hit singles "Back and Forth," "At Your Best." They did have, of course, the title album, or the album, like as the title, the album or the title entails AJ Number to Number. But she was kind of presenting the subliminal message that age ain't nothing but a number due to their age difference.
That's what caused the questions in the first place.
Exactly. So she then did some performances at the School for the Fine Performing Arts in Detroit. She then worked on what was known as her sophomore album, the album that most people always think of with her, which was One in a Million. She worked alongside with pop producer Timbaland, and she had Missy Elliott on a lot of her cuts at that time. Let's see, she was featured in the animated feature Anastasia, and she did a single on the Dr. Dolittle soundtrack, mm-hmm. Are You That Somebody, which did go number 1 on R&B charts. She then was working towards building her acting career. She worked with Jet Li. That was a big hit with doing Romeo Must Die. It's believe it or not, it was a unique movie, because I'm not anyone who knows. All right, podcast 101. Brian's not a movie person. I will be the first to admit that. You name a movie to me, I'm like, let me go watch it at home and I'll tell you what I saw and I remember. But certain movies will always stick out to me. Coincidentally enough, Romeo Must Die was one of them. It wasn't a big movie or had a huge success, but it was just a known movie at that time. She worked with a lot of the songs on that soundtrack.
The movie itself actually did do pretty well in selling. Its first weekend, I believe it sold like 18.6 million or something like that. Was second box office for that weekend. Yeah. She also had a second film that she was in as well too, where she played in Queen of the Damned.
Queen of the Damned.
2002. That's when it came out after her death.
Yes.
She was also slotted to play roles in the next two of The Matrix.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and then that was before she had passed.
Okay. Go, you continue. Come on, you can look. You got this. We rolling now.
No, yeah, and then as you said before, she got married when she was 15, and then when it came out that there possibly was, it was actually a legit marriage or something, not legit, but right? That it was actually on paper that they were married. They were annulled in, I believe it was 1996. Yeah. They tried to play it off like they weren't married at all.
Right. It was an odd instance when all that happened because it kind of surfaced. It surfaced out of nowhere when that news broke at the time, but it had to be handled.
And that made it difficult for her to actually find people to work with her for her second album. Actually, after that, and so on to her passing, which happened in August 25th, 2001. After her third album, after she'd done her third album, Aaliyah, in July 2001. Yeah. Her and 8 others were killed in a plane crash in the Bahamas. Yeah. After filming the music video single, Rock the Boat.
Rock the Boat, yeah.
And then the pilot of that was actually unlicensed. And the toxicology report actually revealed that he had traces of cocaine and alcohol in his system. Oh. So her family actually filed a wrongful death lawsuit against that International Airways, which was settled out of court. Yeah.
Quite a story. And that's...
She ended up selling an estimated 24 to 32 million albums worldwide, which is definitely an accomplishment for passing away at such a young age.
Yeah, because she was 22 when she passed. And I mean, it was a tough turn in music at that time. Yeah. Only because when you think of Aaliyah, you thought of pretty... well-rounded, everyday person. She had a voice, and it was the biggest thing for her that anyone will always talk about with Aaliyah. Anytime you name the name Aaliyah, it was always choreography or dancing. Yeah. Her dance moves were on a whole different radar. It was natural to her to just go out and just perform.
And to count to her being only 22 years old, she was listed 10th most successful female R&B artist for the past 25 years and 27th most successful R&B artist in history. Okay. Which is definitely an accomplishment for only being 22
at that age old. Yeah, you're right. And the part you added as far as the with the pilot, yeah, that definitely was a... Because, I mean, it's so... Like, when the story broke and when everything happened, it was kind of like... The main thing you want is you're trying to get justice behind it and figure out, well, what happened? Like, why would someone, if you in that state, why would you be driving a plane? But it was tough. It was crazy because I can remember it all to a T because I remember when they made the announcement. Then a couple of weeks later, they went ahead and brought out the Rock the Boat video. And then I think a month or so later, they brought out her other video that hadn't been released, which was More Than a Woman, which was off of that album, off of the Aaliyah album. They did after the Aaliyah album had released, they brought out like a greatest hits album, which kind of compiled most of the hits from all 3 albums into one album, and it did include a few of the other songs like. Try Again, Are You That Somebody? I think she had one song even with DMX that might have been on that soundtrack. It might have been on that album. I'm not sure. But yeah, Aaliyah was will always be known as one of she's a true icon when it comes to R&B, like the R&B community or the R&B culture. So shouts to her. You know, I know it's been quite a few years since she passed, but we always remember Leah, always remember her music, and you know her legacy and her knowledge and her skills still carry on to this day. Like I said, there are a lot of artists who will never ignore or disregard her being a key part of their establishment of their career. So we'll just segue away from that. And I always, like I tell you all the time, before I do the podcast, like Dimitri and I'll sit down and we'll have like a little talk. And I was straight up and telling him, I said, I don't know who I'm like. I kind of didn't have an ass of the week this week.
But you always have a safe fallback.
You always got an emergency. Yeah. So and the emergency this week was no exception. So I'm gonna tell the story of I'm gonna kind of tell a personal story and then blend it into this. So growing up, you may have done it too. We collect cards for different teams like sports, football, baseball, basketball, heck, even hockey. And you may collect them and you're trying to keep them and save them for different amounts of money. Even like the Jordan cards, they were worth lots of money at that time. Well, Leaf Trading Cards has decided to get a deal with LeVar Ball to get 200 cards signed with his name and face on each of the cards. The cards are priced at $60 a piece.
And what they're stating is it's not how much they sell them for, it's how much people who buy them, how much they resell them for. Mm-hmm. That's what the real market's going to be, and that's what they want to see.
So the first dumb question I got, because I'm going to be very blunt, is how likely are you to think that these cards will even sell? Resell.
I have a better question for you.
Okay.
Would you rather buy one of these cards or buy the Lonzo 2s?
Can I take the curtain? This is, oh my gosh. Okay.
Because I don't know who, like, his signature, no. Like, his statements are obviously I like what they did with these, though, because it's creative. Like, they showed the little messages that he put on each one of them. Where he was like, I'm better than Jordan. Lonzo better than Steph Curry. Stick to the donuts check.
Yeah. Magic is not allowed to my workouts. Like, what?
And he wants his son to be picked up by the Lakers.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely he's an out there person. From the start. He maybe doesn't realize this, but he actually has, I feel, put his son in a bigger light. However, also damaged some of him as well too, like made him less desirable. But this is just, I don't know, funny.
Yeah.
A lot of things he does is
he's entertaining. I will say that.
Yeah.
Now I asked someone we both know this question, and I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm trying to remember how did I address it with him. If I'm trying to think, did I ask? No, it wasn't. Do you want Lonzo? I think it was. Oh, it wasn't even a question. It was a comment. I made a statement and feeling as though would the Lakers or can the Lakers do something, or whoever gets Lonzo Ball, is there a way that they can work out so that if he's picked up by their team, that they can put a clause in his contract that his dad can't be involved?
Well, his dad shouldn't be involved. His dad shouldn't be involved.
Yeah.
I don't think you can make a clause about that, though.
No, it's a hypothetical, but it was just something I thought about because I'm like, you can't, when it comes to getting the player.
I feel like the biggest thing, though, actually, is more like his dad's obviously going to say crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
He can't take shots at his teammates. That's going to be the biggest thing. Because if you're taking shots at his teammates, they're going to look at you like you feel that like that's coming from you as well, too.
Because if you go to LA and he take the first shot at D'Angelo Russell is not going to take kind to it at all.
Lonzo Ball's already said like how they could play with each other.
Yeah.
He says the right things. His father, on the other hand,
just
is like a 7-year-old child who just
need to be put away.
Who says whatever's on his mind and doesn't have a filter.
I still, And just to confirm, now I do want to make sure because next week is the big day. Because when Saturday comes, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's on Thursday, the draft.
If you were the Lakers GM, who would you want based on the draft? And I'm giving you full leeway because let's say you could find a way to trade up and get Boston's pick, or if you still kept your spot at number 2 and no Fultz is going one.
So let's say Boston's not able to make the trade, and let's say they pick up Josh Jackson.
Okay.
I would hope they pick up Fultz. The Lakers pick up Fultz. Let's say they do make that trade with them. Or let's say they don't make that trade with them. Let's say, however it goes, Fultz gets picked up 1.
Right.
At that point, there is a dilemma there. Because if you look at the league now, it's like the best teams have wing players, good wing players.
Yeah.
So Josh Jackson looks like he can be that good wing player.
Mm-hmm.
However, you're LA. Can you really turn down the person who's from LA, wants to play there?
Yeah.
And who could end up being like
a big star.
Who could end up being a big star and changing like the game kind of. He's a 6'6" point guard who likes to pass the ball, which the best team in the league is actually good at passing the ball.
Right.
Which shows passing the ball can actually lead to good things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it'd definitely be difficult. I say you can't really go wrong with either one.
Okay.
Lonzo Ball or Josh Jackson. Or it's a deep draft. This draft is definitely very deep.
I truly love, I value this draft.
Yeah.
I just, I was telling, and this, you know what, this is the conversation I had with the person. And this kind of sums it up. And he brought this to my attention. It was a valid statement. He was like, out of this draft, if you really look at it, Fultz is going to be the guy who, even if he doesn't have a breakout, phenomenal career starting out, you'll talk about him or you're likely to hear about his name more than you hear about a lot of others. He's definitely
the most for sure person in this draft, in my opinion.
Yes.
He's definitely the most for sure person because he's a scoring guard. He shoots the ball well.
Yep.
He has a good handle on the ball.
Yeah.
He's good he's good knowledge of the game. He's already has good size as well too.
Yeah.
Josh Jackson has a lot of upside. So do a lot of other players in this draft.
I think Jackson, from what I've seen, is just the upside factor, and it's also he
played defense.
His defense prowess is going to be talked about.
And his shot's gotten a little bit better as well too.
Yeah, because and that's the thing they brought up too. They said they broke down Jackson and Ball's shooting style or shooting performance. What people don't think about is Josh Jackson was not at Kansas to be a shooter. That's what people I think miss. Lonzo Ball, technically speaking, wasn't in UCLA to be a shooter either, but he was he was the guard, so it was like he took he was kind of he got the green light for a lot of plays. I feel bad a little bit because in the UCLA situation, TJ Leaf, no one's talking about TJ Leaf right now because he's I don't even think he might be in top 20.
Yeah, but he may go to a good team though. He goes to a good team where he can play the forward. Hopefully, in the East, that will help him out because there's not as many power forwards in the East that are very good.
Yeah.
As in the West. So,
who do you think? All right, this is probably gonna be, and this is my reach question. This is the closeout. We haven't talked about these. These are a matter of fact, I'm not gonna say Alfred Payton from Creighton. We'll say Malik Monk, and we gotta put Kentucky bias aside.
Okay.
Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, Dennis Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you, if you had the green light to pick? If LA, matter of fact, we ain't gonna say LA. We'll just say you're up to pick, and those names are still on the board as possible picks. Who would you pick first?
Depending on what team I am. So say if I'm the Sixers and they're wanting to have Ben Simmons be a ball handler, I would go with Malik Monk at that point.
Yeah,
because he can score.
Okay.
Let's say
all right. So I'll throw teams because that'll be the simpler way. The Knicks.
Oh, okay. If I was the Knicks, that's a good one. I'd probably go with Monk.
Okay.
I'd probably go with Monk because he's somebody who he had a statement earlier this week saying how he likes the triangle. Maybe he's obviously kissing butt as well too.
Yeah, and he want to keep that that lottery run.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's a person who he also shows up when the lights are big. He shows up when the lights are on. He shows up.
Yeah.
So and the lights are always on in Madison Square Garden. So
true.
I think I'd pick him.
All right, I got two more teams: the Kings
the Kings, I'd probably pick up De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
Because De'Aaron Fox has that mentality where he can actually like change an organization.
Sure. All right, and the Pelicans.
The Pelicans, I would also go with De'Aaron Fox as well too, because
so you kind of
two bigs.
You in the same dance with me a little bit. I'm not, for some reason, and it's not that I don't like him. I just don't have and I've seen Dennis Smith play.
I think it's also because this was his first year off of an ACL injury. True. They usually say it takes a year for you to come back and actually be who you were before. Like, it takes you 1 year to get back to normal. So I think next year he'll show a little bit more.
So all right, so then I'll give this and then we'll let it go. Harry Giles, because these are two ACL situations. Harry Giles, Dennis Smith.
I'll pick up Dennis Smith.
Okay.
Because he's already shown more. Harry Giles sometimes looks lost out there and looks like a step slow sometimes.
I'll give you that. I feel like Dennis Smith had a good, and I mean, even with both of them playing in the ACC, that was what kind of played out and showed out for me. Yeah. They did show, and this is a side note, and then we'll close. They had Kentucky's like practice where they were playing like with little kids or whatever, doing like a little summer league or something, and they had what's the guy? He just went back.
Hamidou Diallo.
Hamidou, yeah, he was. They showed him there like playing and shooting around. I was like, okay, I feel like Kentucky coming in next year is going to be pretty solid. I know that's down the pike, but we always do our Kentucky run. So we hit our 120 point. It's funny. I did a podcast last week by myself at 140, and here it is 120. So that's not too bad. But thanks for coming back. I know you've been handling biz, and I understand, man. Like I said, you know me. I don't give you a hard time about it because I look at it as the show got to go on. So I've been holding it down, and we got, like I said, next week, draft stories are gonna be the talk of the story. That's why we kind of dangled that a little bit at the end to see where players actually end up. Thursday is going to be a pretty active evening for me because I will probably be watching the draft and updating statuses with my sports group. So I will be sure to have that prepped and planned. Any closing notes before we end out?
Nah, thanks for holding it down, and we'll have another good show next week.
You know it. All right, now y'all take it easy. The Pass signing out. Did you make it to the end of the episode? If so, I do appreciate you listening and tuning in. These episodes get more and more valuable, and I do appreciate everyone taking time to sit down and listen to the episode. Whether you're actually listening to it once it's uploaded on Spreaker.com/Brate Podcast, or if you're downloading it and listening to it on your own convenience. If you want to check out any previous episodes, just check out that page. And if you'd like to inquire or provide any information or feedback or suggestions toward the podcast, please send those emails to passpodcastbt@gmail.com. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Enjoy your day. Have a good week and be positive.